Have I answered your question? The only time we need to, yeah, yeah, the device is working and we can change the configuration and we, yeah, exactly, right, right. Now, well, routers are designed to run 99.9999, which we call it the nines rule, at all times. 99.99999% of the time. Okay, which is it's less than 0.00001 downtime, downtime. Yeah. Okay, so it should run at all times, because if you're let's say in any scenario one router goes down, what will happen? Simply, the internet is an interconnection between many routers, and there are different paths on the way. So the other routers are going to be aware of this, and they will change the path, so they will not use the path going through that router. So it's not a very big deal in some certain cases to have your router down, okay? But it will cause heavy load on different paths. Fine? Yes, go ahead, Dr. Matthew. Mm-hmm. True. This is actually a good question. The answer is yes and no. The answer is yes. Yes, of course, you can copy that configuration into a text file. But the answer is no. Why? Because you have to do some changes to that configuration. Because not the same IP addresses used on this router are going to be used on the other router. So you still need to do some configuration. And this is how we do it. Actually, before in the future, if you will have a chance to work in the industry and between companies, you will see that you don't go to the site, you don't wait to go to the site and configure the devices. You create a simulation environment where you create your network using the given cases and giving options to you. You create it on simulation environment, you test it, you try it, and you have the option of copying that configuration file from the simulator, taking it to your router, and matter of seconds configuring your router. Even if the configuration like takes like days to be configured or hours to be configured, you can do it in few seconds, and after that test your configuration. Okay, and most of us, we do this. We copy the configuration into a text file. I used to carry in my flash memory the configuration at all times whenever I need them to show them to my students. So whenever I configure something, I configure lab for my students, I keep that configuration file, whether I take it from the NVRAM or I copy it into a text file. Now, how to copy it to text file, we will see it later. Copy it to text file and store it on my flash, and give it a session name and session number, so I can know to which lab activity this one belongs. The next time I don't have to repeat the same configuration, waste all my time in configuring it. Simply I go ahead and copy that pre-configured lab. Fine. Okay. Now, uh, do we all know what is the TFTP server? TFTP server. TFTP server is a server, obviously. It's a program that enables the computer to store a copy or to establish a session with your router for a purpose like storing a backup copy of the information you have on your router. So it's a server. You download that TFTP. There are free versions like the Solaris and the SolarWind and the Sun Microsystem TFTP servers, and they are open license server. You download that server, you install that server on your computer. That will enable your computer to establish a session with the router where you can choose the option of copy running config TFTP and provide the IP address of that TFTP server. This lab we can do it over here. We can do it in our labs and Cisco labs, and I'll show you how to create the TFTP server and how to copy the backup file to that TFTP server. You can either copy your running configuration to TFTP server, your flash contents. That means you can have a backup of your iOS on the TFTP server, and you can have a backup of the NVRAM information on the TFTP server. Okay? And it's very easy. Simply what you need to do is to copy flash TFTP, and you can do it vice versa. Let's say for any reason something went wrong with your iOS version, always you refer to the backup. It happens like sometimes the students by mistake they erase the flash. That means they erase your iOS, and the router or the switch will not be able to boot anymore. So we connect it to the TFTP server. We issue a backup and recovery process using the previously backed up iOS version. Okay? Now, let's see how to capture the text. On the Hyper terminal, there is the option of capturing the text. The first step, the first thing you need to do is to issue running config. Okay? First of all, you start the capturing text process, and after that you issue show running config in order to show all the configuration. You stop capturing it, and by default it's gonna take you to storing and saving this. I haven't tried this one on the packet tracer, but let me see if we can do it, and there is a different way of doing that. Okay, let me see if we have that options. We don't have it in this version. So what do I do over here? Show run, which is running config. Okay, more. I can simply highlight and select all this, and I can copy and choose a text file. Here is the notepad. Here you go. V. Now I have configured my router, right? Let me see how I'm going to use this configuration. Okay, let me see how I'm going to use this configuration for the other router. But before we go to the other router, let me restart the other router in order to erase all the previously configured comments. Simply I'm restarting the computer, the PC. Now the thing that I need to do over here is to change wait a minute. These configuration are meant to be for the second router or the first router. Let me check. I guess this configuration are from the second router. Okay, so let me see if this one, we'll bring it up here. I have captured this configuration from the PC0, from PC1, and PC1 is connected to router R2. Okay, I flushed the configurations of this router. I'm gonna show you how I'm going to use the configuration coming from this router on this router. Okay, but before doing that, I need to change the IP address and the interface number. Interface numbers over there, they were 0 instead of 1. Okay, they were 0 instead of 1, and the IP address must be 1 instead of 2. Okay, so I'll Control A, Control C, select this. I'll come back to my router. Okay, I'll enable, I'll conf ter, and I will paste them. Okay, so enable, okay, end or exit,